The sky above the station was wide and calm, painted with slow-moving stars that looked like quiet thoughts drifting through space. The outpost floated far from any major trade route, small and almost forgotten, but it was peaceful. That was why Elias had chosen to stay there. He stood near the transparent wall of the observation hall, hands behind his back, watching the distant glow of a blue nebula. Humans rarely stayed this far out anymore. Most preferred busy systems, loud stations, and places where life moved fast. Elias liked places where things slowed down. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. He did not turn right away. He already knew who it was. Silira stopped a short distance away. Her people were taller than humans, with smooth silver-blue skin and eyes that reflected light like glass. Her movements were always careful, controlled, like she measured every step before taking it. To her species, emotion was something to be managed, not displayed. "You are awake early," she said. Elias smiled a little. Couldn't sleep. She walked to his side and looked out at the stars with him. For a moment, neither spoke. Silence between them was easy. That was something she had learned from him. Silira was not supposed to be here with him like this. Her people believed in structure, purpose, and proper bonds, approved by councils and data models. Elias was none of those things. He was human. Short-lived, emotional, unplanned, and yet he was her mate. She did not use that word aloud among her people. It carried meaning they did not fully accept. But in her thoughts it was the only word that fit. "You have been thinking again," she said. It was not a question. He nodded. "I can feel it. Something's coming." Her eyes shifted slightly, focusing inward as she checked the station's incoming data. She paused. "There is movement," she said slowly. "Long range. Multiple signals." Elias turned toward her. "Ships. Yes. How many?" She hesitated. That alone told him enough. "A fleet," she said. The word settled heavily between them. The station's alert lights had not activated yet. No alarms, no warnings, just distant shapes far beyond the visible range, moving with calm precision toward their system. Elias let out a slow breath. "They're not traitors." "No," Ciela replied. "They are not." Her people did not send fleets without reason. She straightened, posture becoming more formal, more like the official she was trained to be.
"You should prepare. There will be questions." "About what?" Elias asked, though he already knew.
"About you," she said. The fleet drew closer over the next few hours, still silent, still calm. The station finally received the official signal. A lawful approach, non-hostile, authorized by the Central Accord.
Everyone on the outpost felt it.
Conversations quieted. Work slowed. Even species that did not share fear understood the weight of attention from such a force. Silira was summoned to the command chamber. Elias was not. That alone made the air feel heavier. She stood before the projection of the fleet's representative council. Dozens of faces formed of light. They spoke with one voice, layered and precise. "Sayora of the 9th Cognitive Line," they said. "Your assignment has been under review." "I am aware," she answered. "The presence of a human on this station has triggered multiple deviation markers." Her hands curled slightly at her sides.
"Elias is a civilian. Humans are variables," the council replied.
"Variables destabilize optimized systems." "He has caused no harm," she said. "Harm is not required," they answered. "Influence is sufficient." They displayed data, social shifts, behavioral changes, decision patterns among those who interacted with Elias. Small things, laughter, hesitation, questioning long-held assumptions. Silira recognized the truth immediately. "They fear him," she said.
"We do not fear," the council replied. "We assess. And your assessment? The human must be removed."
Her heart rate increased, a biological reaction she had learned from spending time with him.
She did not hide it. "You are requesting his transfer," she said carefully. "No," the council said. "We are ordering it." "To where?" "That is not relevant." Salira felt something sharp and unfamiliar rise inside her. Anger, Elias had once called it. Not loud, not wild, just firm. "I object," she said. The chamber went silent. "You are..." The council said after a moment. "Use." The council said after a moment. "Yes." She replied. That answer caused more disturbance than any refusal could have. When she returned to their quarters, Elias was waiting. He had already guessed the outcome. "They want me gone," he said. "Yes." He smiled sadly. "Figures." She stepped closer to him, placing one hand against his chest. His heart beat faster than hers. Always had.
"They will not take you," she said. "Salira, I will not allow it," she repeated, more firmly.
He searched her face. "You could lose everything," she met his eyes. "You taught me that everything is only valuable if it means something." Outside the station, the fleet entered visible range. Hundreds of ships arranged in perfect silence, like a wall made of stars. The station's systems adjusted automatically, recognizing authority. Salira knew what her people expected. Compliance. Logic. Order. Instead, she accessed an old protocol buried deep in the archives. One had used in generations. A right of delay. A demand for full ethical review when sentient bonds were involved. The fleet paused. Confusion spread through its command structure. On the station, Elias felt the shift, like the universe holding its breath. "What did you do?" he asked quietly. She looked at the stars, then at him.
I stood in front of you, she said.
And for the first time since the fleet arrived, the future was no longer certain. The fleet did not move closer, but it did not leave either. It stayed where it was, a silent wall of metal and light hanging in the dark. The pause felt unnatural, like time itself had slowed. Inside the station, Salira felt the pressure immediately. Messages began to arrive from her people, formal notices, concern markers, warnings wrapped in polite language. Her request had triggered systems that had not been active for centuries, protocols designed for rare situations. For situations that were not supposed to happen anymore. Elias watched her as she worked, her fingers moving quickly across the air as she controlled the interface. Her face remained calm, but he knew her well enough to see the tension beneath it. "They're not happy," he said.
"That is an understatement," she replied. "Are we in trouble?" She stopped for a moment and looked at him.
"Yes." He nodded slowly. "Okay." That answer surprised her. "That is all?" she asked. "You are not afraid?" "I am," he said honestly. "But being afraid doesn't change anything. Being here with you does." Her eyes softened. Humans said things like that often, without calculation, without proof. Her people found such behavior irrational. Yet again and again, she had seen how powerful it could be. The council responded at last, not with anger, but with formality. A new projection appeared in the command chamber, smaller than before, but more focused. "You have invoked a sentient bond review," the council said. "Explain." Salira stood alone before them. "The human known as Elias is not an influence variable. He is my chosen mate." A ripple of reaction passed through the projection. Not shock. Her people rarely felt that. But disturbance. Your species does not recognize such bonds across classifications, the council said. Your species also once believed emotion weakened judgment, she replied.
That belief changed? This is different. Yes, Silera said. Because this time, the change came from outside.
You are aware of the consequences, the council said. Your status. Your future assignments. Your standing among your people.
I am aware, and yet you persist. Yes. The council withdrew to deliberate. On the station, word spread quickly.
A human facing removal by a fleet. An alien official standing in the way. Whispers moved through halls and shared spaces. Other species watched from a distance, unsure what to think. Elias felt eyes on him wherever he went. Not hostile. Curious. Concerned. A small, insect-like technician approached him near the hydroponics bay. Human, it clicked softly.
Are you important?
Elias smiled gently.
Not really. Then why does the fleet care? He thought about that for a moment. Maybe because I make people ask questions. The technician considered this. That seems inefficient. Yeah, Elias said. But sometimes inefficient things matter. As hours passed, the fleet remained still. No threats. No demands. Just waiting. Silera returned to their quarters late in the cycle. She sat beside Elias, shoulders lower than usual. They are divided, she said.
Good divided or bad divided?
He asked. Both, she replied. Some believe removing you will restore stability. Others believe the act itself will cause more disruption. He leaned back against the wall. And you? I believe, she said slowly, that stability built on fear of change is not stability at all. He looked at her, warmth in his eyes. You didn't think like that when we first met? No, she admitted. You ruined me. He laughed softly. The sound echoed gently in the room. That sound, Silera knew, was one of data points the council feared most. The next council message arrived sooner than expected. The review will proceed, they said. The human will be evaluated. Elias frowned.
Evaluated how? Silera read the details. Her expression tightened.
Through exposure. To what? To us, she said.
To our systems, our logic.
Our questions? He raised an eyebrow. That doesn't sound too bad. It is, she said, because they believe humans cannot remain unchanged under such scrutiny. Elias was quiet for a long moment. They think I'll break.
Yes. He nodded slowly. Then let them watch.
The evaluation did not happen in a chamber or a cell. Instead, Elias was invited, politely, to speak. Not once, but many times. Conversations with analysts, philosophers, planners, and historians. Always calm, always orderly. They asked him why humans bonded so easily. Because we don't live very long, he said. We don't have time to be alone. They asked why he challenged systems he did not belong to. Because systems affect people, whether they belong or not. They asked why he stayed with Silera when it clearly endangered him. Because love isn't safe, he replied.
That's kind of the point. Each answer was logged. Reviewed.
Cross-checked. None of them fit the expected models. Silera observed from a distance, unable to interfere. Each session increased her anxiety, but also her pride. Elias did not try to impress. He did not argue. He simply answered honestly. The fleet began to change. Small things at first. Delays in response times. Requests for clarification that should not have been needed. junior officers asking their superiors questions that had never been asked before. One analyst flagged a concern. "The human is not adapting to our logic," they reported.
Our logic is adapting to him. That alarmed the council more than anything else.
Sailor was summoned again. "This cannot continue," the council said. "The fleet's cohesion is degrading." "Then leave," she said simply. "We cannot," they replied. "To do so would validate the deviation." She stepped forward. "Then you must accept it. Acceptance is inefficient." "So was inviting a human into your perfect system," she replied. The council studied her. "You have changed." "Yes." "And you consider this improvement?" She did not hesitate.
"I do." Meanwhile, Elias waited. He felt tired, but not defeated.
The questions never stopped, but neither did his calm. One officer finally asked him, quietly, "Do you understand the risk you pose?" Elias smiled, sadly.
Yeah, I think I do. Then why not leave?
The officer asked.
"Why not spare her?" Elias shook his head. "Because leaving would prove you right."
"And staying proves something better," the officer said, nothing more. The fleet's delay stretched into days. Other systems began to notice. Inquiries were made. Rumors spread. A fleet that could end wars was stuck, unmoving, because of one human and one alien who refused to let go of each other. Sailira stood once more before the stars. Elias beside her. The fleet loomed closer now, not physically, but emotionally.
"They're running out of time," Elias said.
"Yes," she replied. "So are we." He took her hand. Her people rarely used touch. She had learned its power from him. "Whatever happens," he said, "I don't regret this." She squeezed his hand gently. "Neither do I." Far beyond the station walls, the fleet's leaders faced an impossible choice: remove the human and prove that fear still ruled them, or leave him and accept that humanity had changed them forever. The stars watched in silence as the decision drew near. The fleet had never stayed this long in one place before. Time was usually a tool it controlled, measured in exact cycles and outcomes. Now, time felt different. It stretched, it pressed, it asked questions no system could answer. Inside the fleet, discussions continued without pause. Not loud arguments, not emotional conflict, but something deeper and more dangerous to a structured society: uncertainty. Reports filled the shared network, not about weapons or defenses, but about thoughts. Human influence detected in secondary decision trees, logical drift observed in ethical modeling, increased individual variance among officers. These were not failures in a mechanical sense, but to the council, they were signs of instability. Saira felt the tension even without reading the data. She sensed it in the delayed responses, in the careful wording of messages, in the way the fleet seemed to hesitate, as if unsure how to move forward without breaking something important. Elias noticed it too. "They're thinking," he said quietly as they stood together near the observation wall. "Yes," Saila replied, "and that frightens them." Elias smiled faintly.
Funny, that's usually what people want. For my people, she said, thinking is meant to confirm certainty.
"Not challenge it." He nodded. Humans do the opposite. That difference was now echoing through hundreds of ships. The council called another full session. This time, the projection was larger, more complex, filled with overlapping layers of data and faces. Sailira stood before it again, steady, but tired. "The evaluation has exceeded acceptable limits," the council said. "The human's presence is no longer contained." "He is not a disease," Sailira replied. "You speak as if he spreads harm. He spreads change." "Yes, she said, because your systems are fragile. That word caused a sharp reaction. Our systems have endured for thousands of cycles, the council said. And yet, Salira replied, they are threatened by one unarmed human who speaks honestly. The council paused.
Your bond has impaired your judgment, they said. She took a slow breath.
Or perhaps it has improved it. The council shifted tactics. If the human is not removed, they said, you will be. Salira's breath caught for just a moment. Removed? How? Reassigned. Isolated.
Your connection terminated. Elias, listening through the shared channel, stiffened.
No! Salira raised a hand slightly, calming him without turning around. You would punish me, she said to the council, for protecting someone I love. Love is not recognized as justification, they replied. Then recognize consequence, she said. If you separate us, you confirm everything he represents. The council fell silent again. While leaders debated, life on the station continued in strange, quiet ways. People still worked, still ate, still rested. But conversations changed. A trader from a reptilian species told Elias, your presence has increased my dissatisfaction. Elias blinked.
Sorry. I now wonder why I accept rules that do not benefit me, the trader said thoughtfully. This is
inconvenient. Elias laughed softly.
Yeah, happens a lot. Even those who disagreed with him could not ignore him.
He listened. He asked questions. He treated everyone as if their thoughts mattered. That, more than anything, unsettled the fleet. A senior fleet officer requested a private conversation with Elias. The request surprised everyone, including Salira. The meeting took place in a simple room. No guards, no restraints. The officer's form shimmered slightly, light bending around their body. Their voice was calm, but strained. You do not fit any of our threat models, the officer said. Good, Elias replied. I've never liked being predictable. You undermine authority without resisting it, the officer continued.
You weaken certainty by accepting doubt. Elias leaned forward slightly. I'm not trying to weaken anything. I'm just being human. That is the problem. Elias considered that.
Then maybe your system needs to learn how to live with problems. The officer studied him. You would risk extinction for this? For love? Elias asked.
Yeah.
Humans do that all the time. The officer's light flickered. That is irrational. Sure, Elias said. But it's also how we survive. The officer left without another word. Later, Salira found Elias sitting quietly, staring at nothing. They might take you away, he said without looking at her. They will not, she replied. They might take you instead. She sat beside him. If they do, I will still choose you. He turned to her, eyes dark with worry. I never wanted to break your world. She touched his face gently. You did not break it. You showed it a mirror. The fleet's internal divide grew sharper. Some factions argued for immediate withdrawal, citing systemic risk. Others demanded enforcement of authority, fearing the precedent of retreat. A third, smaller group began asking a new question. What if the human was right? That question spread faster than any command. Data models began to fail. Not because of errors, but because of too many possible outcomes. The human factor could not be simplified. One council member finally spoke what none wanted to say. If we remove him, they said, we confirm that we cannot coexist with unpredictability. And if we do not, another asked, then we change. Change. The word echoed through the network like a quiet shockwave. Salira was summoned one last time. The fleet will not act, the council said. For now? For now, she asked, we require time.
So do we. Elias and Saila stood together as the fleet slowly shifted formation. Not retreating.
Not advancing, just adjusting.
It was the first sign of compromise.
Elias exhaled. Did we win? Sailera watched the stars carefully. No, she said, but we were not erased. That, she knew, was a beginning. Far across the fleet, records were being updated. Quiet notes added. Warnings issued. Human exposure results in irreversible perspective alteration. Engagement recommended only with full consent.
Do not force removal. The fleet had not been defeated.
It had been changed. And change, once begun, could not be undone. The fleet's formation shifted again, slowly and carefully, like something testing its balance for the first time. Ships adjusted distance, angles changed, signals passed quietly from one vessel to another. Nothing aggressive, nothing final. But the tension did not disappear. It only changed shape. Sailira could feel it in the air of the station. The pressure was still there, but it was no longer pushing from one direction. It came from everywhere at once. They are unsure, she said softly. Elias leaned against the observation wall beside her. That's new for them, isn't it? Yes, she replied. Uncertainty is uncomfortable.
For humans too, he said. We just pretend it isn't.
She looked at him, curious. How? With jokes, stories. Love. We build meaning where there isn't any. Her eyes lingered on him. That may be your most dangerous trait. The council did not call immediately. That alone was strange. Normally, decisions followed delays. Now there was only silence. In that silence, something unexpected happened. Requests began arriving. Not commands, not evaluations, but questions. Individual officers, researchers, even minor administrators within the fleet reached out, one by one, asking to speak with Elias. Sailor reviewed the requests carefully. They're not authorized channels. They're people, Elias said gently. Or close enough. She hesitated, then nodded. I will not stop you. The conversations were quiet, simple. No grand speeches. Elias listened more than he spoke. He asked about their work, their history, their doubts. Many of them had never been asked such things before. One officer admitted, I have followed protocol my entire existence. I do not know why. Elias replied, That's okay. Most humans don't either. Another asked, Do you believe order and freedom can coexist? Elias thought for a moment. I think they have to. Otherwise, one destroys the other. Each conversation ended the same way. With silence, with thought. Inside the fleet's shared network, something subtle began to fracture. Not loyalty, not discipline, but the idea that there was only one correct way to exist.
This has gone too far, one member said.
The human's influence is spreading beyond containment. He has not violated any law. Another replied, That is irrelevant. No, a third said quietly. It is everything. That voice was new, younger, less certain. If we act now, the voice continued, we prove that our authority cannot survive questions. And if we do not act, another argued, we risk losing coherence. The debate stalled again. On the station, Sailira faced a different fear. She had spent her life understanding systems, predicting outcomes. Now, every possible future felt unstable. She found Elias in the small garden module, surrounded by quiet green plants grown for air and food. He was sitting on the floor, back against the wall, eyes closed. You are resting? She asked. Trying, he said, opening one eye. Hard to relax when an entire fleet is thinking about you. You could leave. He turned his head toward her. You know I won't. I know, she said. That is why I am afraid. He reached for her hand, careful, gentle. You don't have to protect me alone. She looked down at their joined hands. That is what I am trained to do. Then let me protect you too, he said. She met his eyes.
How? By choosing you, he replied. Publicly?
Completely. She understood then what he meant, and fear tightened inside her. That would force their hand, she said. Yeah, he admitted. But it would also show them something they can't ignore. The council summoned them both. This had never happened before. They stood together in the command chamber as the projection formed. The council's presence felt heavier than ever, layered with observation and expectation. The situation has escalated, the council said. The humans' continued presence threatens fleet integrity. Elias took a step forward before Sayalira could stop him.
Then let me speak, he said.
The council paused. Allowing a human to address them directly was not standard procedure. Speak, they said. Elias did not raise his voice. He did not argue.
I know you think I'm dangerous, he said. Not because I fight.
Not because I resist, but because I don't fit.
That is correct, the council replied. I don't want to tear down your system,
Elias continued.
I don't want to rule it. I just want to live in it.
With her. Sailira felt her breath catch. You believe that is acceptable? The council asked. I believe, Elias said, that if your system can't survive one human loving one of you, then it's already broken. A sharp ripple passed through the projection.
Saira stepped forward now. I formally bind myself to him, she said.
Under every definition of bond my people recognize, and those we have forgotten. That bond is invalid, the council replied. Then judge me, she said.
Not him. The council processed this. Calculations flowed.
Outcomes branched. If we remove you, they said, your influence ends. No, Sailira replied. It proves him right. Elias squeezed her hand. I'm not backing down. The chamber was silent. For the first time in its long history, the council faced a choice with no optimal outcome. Force compliance and admit fear. Withdraw and admit limitation. One council member asked quietly, what do humans call this situation? Elias answered, a test. And what happens if we fail? Elias thought for a long moment. You don't disappear.
You just don't grow. That answer lingered.
The council disconnected without a verdict. Hours passed. Then, more. The fleet began slow movement. Not toward the station, but away from it. Not a full retreat. A repositioning. A signal sent outward to other systems. Human-bonded individuals are not to be forcibly separated. Exposure requires consent. Evaluation incomplete. Sailira read the message twice, hardly believing it. They're not done, she said. No, Elias agreed, but they stepped back. She turned to him.
You put yourself in danger, he smiled softly. You taught me that love is worth risk. Outside, the fleet's lights dimmed slightly, no longer dominating the stars.
The station felt lighter, as if it could breathe again. But both of them knew this was not the end. The fleet had not lost, and humanity had not finished changing it. The fleet did not vanish all at once. It moved slowly, ship by ship, light by light, until the space around the station no longer felt crowded. Stars became visible again, quiet and distant, like they had always been. The silence that followed was different from before. It was not tense. It was thoughtful. On the station, people began to breathe normally again. Work resumed. Conversations returned to ordinary things. But something had changed, and everyone could feel it, even if they could not name it. Sayalira stood alone in the command chamber, reading the final transmission again. It was short, careful, full of words chosen to avoid commitment. No further action authorized. Bond acknowledged. Observation concluded. It was not an apology. It was not approval, but it was enough. Elias waited for her near the observation wall. When she entered, he looked up, searching her face. "They're gone," she said. He let out a long breath he did not realize he had been holding. "So, that's it? For now," she replied. He smiled. "I'm starting to like for now." She walked to him and stood beside him, both of them watching the stars. The fleet was already far enough away that it no longer felt like a presence in their thoughts.
You could have lost everything, Elias said quietly. I nearly did, she replied.
And? She looked at him. I kept what mattered. For the first time since the fleet arrived, Saira allowed herself to rest. Not physically, but mentally. The constant calculations, the branching outcomes, the endless predictions, all of it slowed. Elias felt the change immediately. He reached for her hand. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "I think I am becoming something new."
He smiled warmly. Welcome to being human adjacent. She made a soft sound that was almost laughter.
Over the next cycles, messages arrived from outside systems. Quiet inquiries, carefully worded requests. Some asked about Elias directly. Others asked about Sailira. Most asked about the event without naming it. What happened at the outpost? Why did the fleet withdraw? What is a sentient bond? No official answers were given. But stories spread anyway. They always did. A single human, an alien who refused to step aside. A fleet that hesitated. The story changed depending on who told it. But the core remained the same. Humans were not powerful because they conquered. They were powerful because they connected. Sailira noticed the changes first among her own people. Communications became less rigid. Questions were asked without immediate correction. Why? Junior analysts proposed ideas that were not fully optimized but felt meaningful. One message stood out. Your actions have caused disruption.
Also, reflection. I am uncertain how to proceed.
Thank you. She read it twice. Elias noticed her pause. Good news? Yes, she said slowly. Confusing news, he nodded. That's usually the best kind. The station itself began to change too. More species chose to pass through. Some stayed longer than planned. A few even requested assignment extensions. It feels different here, one traveler said. Less quiet inside.
Elias smiled at that. He and Salira settled into a new rhythm.
Not the same as before, but better, more open, less hidden. For the first time, Sailira did not avoid public spaces with him. She did not lower her voice or step away when others were present. She stood with him openly, her hand in his, her posture calm and unashamed. Some noticed, some whispered. Some simply watched. No one challenged them. One evening, as artificial night settled over the station, Elias stood alone in the observation hall. Sailira joined him a moment later. You're thinking again, she said. Yeah, he admitted. About what comes next? She folded her arms lightly. Do humans always think this far ahead? No, he said. But when we do, it's usually because we care. She looked out at the stars. The fleet will return one day. I know, he said.
They will observe again. They will measure the changes.
And? He asked. She turned to him. They will find more humans, Elias smiled slowly. Good luck to them. You are not worried? Not really, he said. You can't unmeet humans. Once you let us in, we stick. She considered that. That may be the most accurate assessment of your species I have heard. Time passed. The outpost remained small. Quiet. But it was no longer forgotten. Somewhere far away, within the fleet's archives, a new classification was added. Not public. Not discussed openly. Human. Persistent influence class. Recommended response. Caution. Respect. Distance. Impossible. No one framed it as a warning. But that is how it was treated. Celira received one final message from the council weeks later.
Your status remains altered. Your bond is recognized.
Future evaluation pending. She closed the message and did not respond. Elias noticed. No? Reply? No, she said. Some things do not require one. They stood together at the edge of the station, watching a transport ship depart. Life continued. Always did.
You changed them, Elias said quietly.
She shook her head. No. You did. He smiled.
We did, she corrected him gently. Yes, the stars drifted by, uncaring and endless.
Civilizations would rise and fall beneath them. Fleets would come and go. But somewhere in the vastness of space, a simple truth had been recorded. That one alien girl had protected her human mate from an entire fleet, not with force, not with weapons, but by standing still, refusing to move, and daring the universe to become better.